welcome back. The matric class of 2022 is eagerly awaiting their results. Now, this can be a very frustrating period as some school leavers are not sure what to do post-matric. From deciding on whether or not to go to university to picking the right course and the preferred institution, there's always plenty of options. To help students and parents navigate this process, we're joined by Atelisha Harilal, Head of Student Recruitment and Marketing at STADIO. It's a registered higher education institution. Atelisha, thanks so much for your time this morning. So it is an exciting time for learners who know what they want to study and have the resources to do so, but it can be an intensely difficult time for both students and parents who aren't sure, not only of their chosen field, but also of financial resources and the institution. What's the first step once the results are out?
Well, I think the first step starts even before those results release. Number one is recognizing the amount of pressure society puts on this moment, the release of the matric results, and the impact we think it will have on the rest of the life of the student and the pressure this puts on them. So that's the first step for me, is to appeal to parents and communities to be supportive and to think about the students and the pressure they're feeling. But once those results are out, the first step is then to, of course, consider the institutions you have been accepted at and note whether your results now still meet those entry requirements that you had initially qualified for. And should that not be the case, then consider what are my plan Bs, what are my plan Cs, etc., and look to the other institutions which are still open for applications and happy to offer you a position. And I think finally, understanding the South African articulation pathway is key, because a lot of times when a student doesn't get a bachelor's pass, we perceive that this is the end of their aspiration and the end of their ambition. But it actually is just a bit of redirection and more work that they'll have to do, but they can still achieve their degree.
Universities seem to have become the best option in many people's eyes, but that's not necessarily the case. And there's so many colleges and smaller institutions who offer excellent training in specific trades or career paths. What's your advice to especially parents in exploring all the options? Because often, students in matric are very much reliant on their parents for guidance on where they should even start applying to. I know we're past that process already, but many of the learners might be waiting for their matric results before they even start applying.
Absolutely. So I think it's key to note that private higher education institutions like STADIO in South Africa undergo a rigorous process of academic checks and balances from the Department of Higher Education and Training. We meet the standards set by the South African Qualifications Authority, and we do our work to ensure that we're offering the best possible academic program for the student, with a clear output to the world of work and what the world of work needs, because we believe these graduates will power the change and the growth in the country. So I want to encourage parents to explore the other options at other institutions, not just universities, as you so rightly said. Even if you may find yourself with a child who has a bent to go into more of a TVET setting to learn a craft that's going to keep them in employment and give them an entrepreneurial edge. Whether your student was looking to study at a university, they can find the relevant degree at a private higher education provider. They can get into a higher certificate, which will allow them to articulate into degree studies. So it's very important to do your research. Start off by looking at the qualification, look at the offering institutions, and from there decide what your next steps should be based on your child's affordability and academic results.
What's your advice to students and to parents about choosing a study course that offers really good employment prospects and sufficient flexibility to ensure longevity of employment? Because we know the job market at the moment sees employees changing not only the company they work for, but the career path and the job description many times throughout their career. How can they without having to access expensive advice from, professionals who perhaps do career guidance on a professional level, how can families access the information about which career paths offer, the best employment possibilities at this point in time?
Well, I think a great starting point is the list released by our own government, which specifies the areas of need where jobs are required in South Africa. And it comes out annually, and it's a great jump in point. I think, secondly, from there, we make the assumption that good advice is going to come at a premium price. But many institutions offer free career advice with student advisors like STADIO does that can help you and can support you through the application process. And I think we often think the degree that we study will shape the entire longevity of our career. But the most key skill we learn at tertiary education and we try to teach to students are also all of the surrounding skills beside the core technical competence. And these are things such as the ability to think critically, to learn how to access information that you need to do your job more effectively, to be able to function in the workplace in a manner that is supportive to your colleagues and supportive to the business goals. And these things are almost as important as the key technical skills you will gather during your tertiary career. So it's important to choose an institution that has the world of work in mind and has aligned with industry leaders and can look at what exactly the world of work needs, what competencies are they putting into their graduates so those two things meet. And these are very important questions for both parents and students to address to the institution that they are registering with. What is the success rate or employability rate of graduates? What do you think this specific course will have in terms of positions in the next 5 years? And this information is often freely available on institutional websites. We just don't explore them in enough detail so we can learn these things. So, doing research and jumping in at what are the key skills South Africa needs, then from there, examining the relevant areas of study to the field that your child aspires to, finding an institution that is aligned with the world of work and that is offering you industry related content within that degree or diploma.
I love that you bring up this other value proposition that institutions offer students in other sets of skills besides those core technical or business abilities. And I think soft skills are often underappreciated. And it's only when you get into the workplace where you realize the importance of interpersonal communication, written communication, telephonic communication, presentation, your ability to speak to clients and convey either creative or highly technical ideas in a way that is both imaginative and that the marketing team will enjoy. Do you think enough emphasis is placed on those softer skills at tertiary institutions in South Africa, or are we so focused on just driving the core technical abilities?
Look, I think for me, what is key is that I have in my years, and there have been many in tertiary education, noted that the most successful graduate is not often the one who is most technically competent, but rather that one who can balance his technical competence with his excellent communication, as you've said. So I think as institutions, we are striving to ensure that we bridge that gap and we make our students the most employable graduates. We at STADIO have launched our own micro-credential digital badging system, and it's based around our students showing those core soft skills. I think soft skills is definitely underrated in terms of the key effect it has on your success in the world of work. So them being able to show that they've mastered communication, teamwork, holistic citizenship is a great indicator of their ability to perform well in the workplace. And I think the Stadio Stripes micro-credential system is allowing students now to show this competency as they enter the world of work, which is a great win for them. And I think as institutions overall in the tertiary education industry, we must strive to give our graduates more of an edge in the world of work and prepare them for the rigors. Often we prepare them for the technical knowledge, but we neglect the rigors of the workplace, which is the most stressful point when graduates actually enter into the working environment. So I think it is time that those areas are addressed by all institutions.
Well, thank you so much for your insights this morning. That was Atelisha Harilal, Head of Student Recruitment and Marketing at STADIO. I'm not quite sure whether this time of the morning is the time when a lot of students will be watching, but if you are watching, know that no one in my 20-plus years of employment has ever asked me for my matric mark. So while they determine whether you get into the course that you want to or not, they're not going to determine the success or failure of your career for the rest of your life. Good luck for those applications, and good luck